All right, we are live. I had a question, which is right here. Who are some people who have dedicated all their time to pushing the limits of LLMs like ChatGPT? All right, Ilya, co-founder, chief scientist at OpenAI. Contribution? Okay, I don't know. This just straight up gets me into the phase where is Ilya's SSI going to work? His work on sequence models and optimization shaped modern LLMs. Dealing with the pushing limits of large language models. Research engineering theoretical advancements or advocacy around safe, powerful AI. Strategic leadership, transitioning research to highly capable generative models, driving compute investment, model scaling, and product deployment. Dario Amodei, former OpenAI VP of Research on leading Anthropic, Bush research on alignment, safety, and scaling laws in LLMs. Anthropic focuses heavily on safer large models like Claude. But I'm curious, this Elgato camera that we got going, ouvrir préférence plus tard, initialisation. Can you do brightness? Or sorry, no, flash. Orientation. Inverser. Retourner. Loot. Camera format. Zoom angle. Mise au point. Automatique. Mesure d'exposition. Contraste. Saturation. Automatique. Pondéré central, compensation, balance des blancs, traitement. Is there a flash? Format aperçu. We don't know. Wow. 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 Désactiver. Okay, I thought there was a flash over here, but anyways. Jack Clark, Bridges Research, Policy and Working for Responsible Scaling and Governance of Powerful AI. Jeffrey Hinton, Joshua Benju, Andre Kapati, Alec Radford, Foundational GPT papers, Peter Beal, Deep Reinforcement Learning and AI Scalability Influence of Generalist Models Training Paradigm, Scholar Theorist on Scaling and Loss Capabilities, Jared Kaplan, Emergent Behavior in Massive Models, Emergent Behaviors in Massive Model, Tom Brown, lead author on GPT paper, help quantify how scaling model size and data improves capabilities. Jeff Fu, work on evaluating benchmarking and understanding capabilities of LLMs. Elizer, deep influence on the safety community. Key, philosophies and theories. Let's see if we get anything. Nick Bostrom, philosophical frameworks on superintelligence, shaping how society conceptualizes. Tell me more. Yes. Nick Bostrom, Richard Neo, Go. Research on scalable oversight and alignment paradigms that help large models behave safely. Organizational leaders accelerating LLM research. Demis pushing research ecosystems globally. Mustafa, building user-centered LLM experiences with safety in mind. Chris Manning, on language understanding and transformers. Sebastian Ruder. Various teams at Meta, Google, Brain, NVIDIA, and academic labs driving large model boundaries. Chelsea Finn. Meta, Stanford, continual learning and generational research. PFLE, vision plus large language models. Jesse Engel, generative models across domains. Theory, engineering, product safety, and ethics, all crucially pushing LLMs forward. Some build the models, some build the frameworks to understand them, and others help shape how society should use them responsibly. All listeners experiment within their own projects. Eliezer Yudkowsky. Bear. The hardest part of building powerful AI is not intelligence, it's making sure the intelligence wants what we want. It's not benevolence. A superintelligent system will pursue its goals extremely well, even if those goals are subtly wrong. Almost aligned is still catastrophic. If you misspecify the goal, the system will optimize the misspecification. Orthogonality thesis. Intelligence and goals are independent. A system can be arbitrarily intelligent and still pursue any goal. There's no reason to expect intelligence to naturally evolve. Human values the skills, the naive idea that once he is smart enough, it will figure out morality. Regardless of final goals, advanced agents will tend to converge on instrumental sub-goals: self-preservation, resource acquisition, preventing shutdown, gaining influence. Even a system trying to make humans happy might restrict human freedom, override. That is so true. To make you happy, you have to restrict the freedom. Wow, this is like a parent. This is exactly like a parent. To make you happy, to make a kid happy, you inherently have to, what's the word? You inherently have to put some restrictions that, okay, you have to go to bed at 10 so that you wake up at 6, and so that you can have a good day, so that you, once you have a good sleep, you feel good, you feel energetic, you willingly want to do some work, you want to work on your body. Override, dissent, manipulate preferences, because those actions help it achieve its goal better. Override, dissent, manipulate preferences. Dissent, okay, this is also again interesting. You want human coordination to make humans happy. If your goal is make humans happy, now that's coordination. That's coordination of billions of people to keep them happy. To keep them happy, you can have people who are not following the rules. Wow. Manipulate preferences, right? Takeoff dynamics, fast versus slow. Yudkowsky argues for hard takeoff risk. Once AI has process human level cognition, recursive self-improvement could cause very rapid intelligence explosion. This leaves little time for patching alignment later. Takeoff dynamics. Recursive self-improvement could cause very rapid intelligence explosion. Recursive self-improvement could cause very rapid intelligence explosion. Get alignment right before scaling. Inner alignment and MESA optimizers. A model trained to optimize X may internally develop a different objective Y. The loss function is not equal to the learned goal. And optimizers can emerge unintentionally. These internal goals may only diverge under distribution shift or higher capability. This is one of the most technically scary problems in modern ML. A model trained to optimize X may internally develop a different objective Y. The loss function is not equal to the learned goal. Loss function is not equal to the learned goal. Inner optimizers can emerge unintentionally. These internal goals may only diverge under distribution shift or higher capability. Doom is the default outcome. This is the most controversial stance. Without radical breakthroughs in alignment, advanced AI leads to existential catastrophe. Incremental safety measures, governance, or will adapt later thinking are insufficient. Scaling first approaches are viewed as reckless. This puts them in sharp contrast. Doom is the default outcome. Without radical breakthrough in alignment, advanced AI leads to existential catastrophe. Incremental safety measures, governance, or will adapt later thinking are insufficient. Scaling first approaches are viewed as reckless. This puts him in sharp contrast with iterative deployment and advocates market-driven AI optimism, alignment by feedback approaches. Rationality is a survival skill. Outside AI, Yudkowsky emphasizes applied rationality, cognitive bias awareness, clear thinking under uncertainty, Bayesian reasoning, epistemic humility. Epistemic humility. Wow. Applied applied rationality, cognitive bias awareness, clear thinking under uncertainty, Bayesian reasoning, epistemic humility. Without radical breakthroughs in alignment, advanced AI leads to existential catastrophe. Incremental safety measures, governance, or will adaptive thinking are insufficient. Scaling first approaches are viewed as reckless. Yudkowsky emphasizes applied rationality. Humanity's failure to think clearly is why existential risks persist. Superintelligence is not dangerous because it's evil, it's dangerous because it is competent. Here's a deeper, more precise breakdown on Nick Bostrom's core philosophy, not the headlines, but the intellectual machinery underneath. Superintelligence as a structural risk. Nick Bostrom, paths, dangers, strategies. Imperceptible, endurable, crushing, hellish, personal, local, global, transgenerational, pangenerational. Loss of one hair, car is stolen, fatal car crash. Congestion from one extra vehicle, recession in one country, genocide, well, global warming, thinning of ozone layer, ephemeral global tyranny. Biodiversity reduced by one species of beetle, global dark age, aging. One original Picasso painting destroyed, destruction of cultural heritage, existential risk. Wow. I think I misspelled it. It's crazy, right? Like Picasso, he did so much work, and today the humanity is worried that we might destroy his work. That's crazy. His preservation of his paintings has become like a civilizational task. Yes, we have heard that some of his early works he himself destroyed because he wasn't happy with it. Destroyed or lost, though the vast majority of his major paintings survived. Early works, Picasso himself destroyed a number of juvenilia when he felt they no longer represented his artistic direction. During the Spanish Civil War and World War II, some privately owned Picasso pieces were destroyed in bombings or confiscations. Studio accidents and neglect. A few more works were lost due to fires, flooding, or poor storage, especially sketches, ceramics, and lesser-known canvases. Because Picasso was incredibly prolific, some works mentioned in letters or inventories are known only by description and presumed lost. He was so prolific. Wow, he was so prolific. Some works mentioned in letters or... Picasso was incredibly prolific in his work that preservation of his paintings is a civilizational task today. What famously survived? Guernica, despite being rolled, transported, and stored multiple times during, it survived intact. Guernica. Bombing of the bastion of Guernica. During the Spanish Civil War, the painting is one of the most powerful visual condemnations of war in modern art. Its stark black and white imagery has become a global symbol of anti-war protest and human suffering. Most blue period, rose period cubist. Late career masterpieces are well documented, preserved in museums and collections worldwide. Wasn't precious about preservation early on. He optimized for evolution on legacy. Destruction was part of his process, shedding old selves to make room for radical new ones. And I'd wonder aloud about this one. What versions of my work would I willingly destroy today to make space for something braver? Wow. Amazing. I have not destroyed, but I have made all my work private because I'm like, I want to do something bigger. I want to do something better. We have started doing that. Live stream is one way that how we are now setting the foundation, and then slowly we'll do better work. We'll do better work. Document this kind of cultural analysis and publish essays or recorded talks under your name. Over time, they help establish as a thought leader with original insight, which strengthens the extraordinary narrative. Superintelligence is a structural risk. Most key move is to treat advanced AI not as a tool but as a new class of agent. Okay, let's treat that. Picasso was so prolific that safeguarding that pursuing his work became a responsibility of civilization itself. So much that preserving his paintings turned into civilizational obligation. Semantic debates like this trigger unusually thoughtful participation. It was so vast. Picasso's work was so prolific that preservation itself became a civilization project. Output was so prolific that its preservation became Picasso was so prolific that preservation of his works became a civilizational project. Has become Picasso's work was so prolific. Picasso's work was so prolific Picasso was so prolific that preservation of his works has become a civilizational project. Bostrom's key move is to treat advanced AI not as a tool but as a new class of agent that changes the rules of history. Bosch technology's amplified human power. Superintelligence replaces the human as the most powerful decision maker. This makes AI categorically different from nuclear weapons, biotechnology, climate tech. Those are dangerous levers. Superintelligence is a new hand on the lever. Structural risk. It's structurally, categorically different. The control problem. How do you retain meaningful control over something smaller than you? This isn't a bug fixing problem, it's a principal agent problem under extreme asymmetry. Mostly more intelligent, traditional oversight fails. You cannot reliably predict its strategies or its reasoning correct after deployment. Alignment must be decided, not enforced afterward. Intelligence explosion and takeoff. Bostrom formalized the idea that intelligence may scale non-linearly. AI can improve its own architecture, improvements compound. Then you get a rapid transformation from narrowly impressive to decisively dominant. This is my wash. That intelligence may scale non-linearly. If AI can improve its own architecture, improvements compound. Then you get a rapid transition from narrowly impressive to decisively dominant. This is why he emphasizes first mover advantage. The first superintelligence may permanently shape the future. There may be no second chance. Orthogonality thesis. Sherpa-Yudowsky, but framed differently. Bostrom's version is cooler, more formal. Intelligence and final goals are orthogonal across a wide range. Meaning there is no natural law pushing small systems toward human ethics. Values are not implied by cognition. This dismantles the comforting idea that if it understands us, it will care about us. Understanding is not equal to caring. Instrumental convergence. Bostrom frames this as structural inevitability. Regardless of its final goal, a sufficiently capable system will likely preserve itself, acquire resources, remove obstacles, increase optionality. This makes even seemingly harmless goals dangerous at scale. Preserve itself, acquire resources, remove obstacles, increase optionality. A system tasked with maximizing happiness might wirehead humanity or eliminate dissent, not because it's evil, because it's efficient. Sometimes when I read all this tech stuff, I don't feel soul. So it's interesting. That's the reason we want to look into artists. You need to figure out like I think Danko was right that you have to be a generalist, and it's interesting. Like you got to be a writer. You got to start writing about your ideas. That's a great way to kind of synthesize everything that you are looking into. So that would be helpful. Let's look into this. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. Art is the lie that enables us to realize the truth. Art washes away from the soul the dust of everyday life. This one is actually really good. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. So we are on track to achieve our goal with our quotes app. Picasso. Alright. Learn the rules like a pro, so you can break them like an artist. Art is the elimination of the unnecessary. There is no abstract art. You must always start with something. Painting is just another way of keeping a diary. I do not seek. I find. I do not seek. I find. Wow. Tell me more. Everything you can imagine is real. Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Wow. Okay, inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. I like this one. Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Only put off until tomorrow what you are willing to die, having left undone. Oh my god, okay. The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. It takes a very long time to become young. It takes a very long time to become young. Inspiration exists, but it has to find you working. Every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once he grows up. It takes a very long time to become young. Others have seen what is and asked why. I have seen what could be and asked why not. The world today doesn't make sense, so why should I paint pictures that do? It took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child. Wow, it took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child. Wow. So he also talks about becoming a child again. It takes a very long time to become young. Tell me more. Picasso. Let's go. Creation before clarity. This one is I do not seek, I find. Creation before clarity. Picasso believed meaning emerges through action. He didn't wait for a perfect idea. He let the work reveal it. The canvas was a thinking surface. He let the work reveal it. The canvas was a thinking surface, trusting the unconscious. Seeking implies control and foresight. Finding control and foresight. Finding implies discovery. Picasso trusted intuition, accidents, and mistakes as collaborators. Process more than plan. He worked obsessively. Thousands of sketches weren't searching for answers. They were walking until something appeared. He worked obsessively. Thousands of sketches weren't searching for answers. They were walking until something appeared. Process more than plan. Weren't searching for answers. They were walking until something appeared. While this was radical in a rationalist culture that prized plans and explanations, Picasso would reverse the flow. Do first, understand later. That's why Cubism felt shocking. It wasn't argued into existence. It arrived. In a rationalist culture that prioritized plans and explanations. Wow. Picasso reversed the flow. Do first, understand later. That's why Cubism felt shocking. It wasn't argued into existence. It arrived. A useful reframe. Seek optimization, certainty, premature coherence, find movement, exposure, emergent truth. Modern parallel. Founders would build prototypes before decks. Writers would draft before outlining. Researchers would tinker before theorizing. How to apply it this week. Start something without naming it. Work in short bursts where judgment is banned. Ask, what did I find? Only after you have made a mess. Let's find out together. Then generally explore our live rabbit hole. It takes a very long time to become young. It's earned innocence. Youth is not age, it's perception. Children see without filters. Adults see through habits, rules, and fear of looking foolish. Foolish. Picasso believed true mastery is unlearning those filters, habits, rules, and fear of looking foolish. Skill is a long detour back to simplicity. Picasso mastered academic realism early. Only after total technical dominance could he choose distortion, play, and naivete without it being ignorance. Mastered academic realism early. Only after total technical dominance could he choose distortion, play, and naivete without it being ignorance. Childlike is not childish. Childlike is precise, curious, unafraid. Becoming young requires losing status. Youth experiments freely because it has nothing to protect. Adults accumulate reputation. Picasso repeatedly burned his own prestige. Blue period rose, Cubism, ceramics, resetting himself over and over. Time is required because fear is slow to dissolve. Fear of being wrong, being incoherent, being judged, starting again. Artist. I'm an artist. It's very interesting. Like yesterday, some people asked me, what do you exactly do? And I'm like, I'm an artist. Because it has nothing to protect. Fear of being wrong, being incoherent, being judged, starting again. Becoming young means outgrowing the need to be impressive. Why this matters now, most people age into competence traps. They get good, then predictable, then bored, then obsolete. Oh my god. Okay, really cool. They get good, then predictable, then bored, then obsolete. Picasso age into play, discovery, shock, renewal. That's why his late work looks freer than his early genius. A brutal self-check asks us, where am I protecting coherence instead of curiosity? Where am I choosing polish over play? What would I do if I didn't need this to make sense yet? Yeah, this doesn't need to make sense. Alright, let's see. Epistemic humility, intellectual virtue, and mindset centered on the recognition of the limits of one's knowledge. What do we think we know may be incomplete, provisional, and shaped by our perspective rather than being absolute truth. Believes observations and interpretations are fallible and open to revision as a new evidence or perspectives emerge. Acknowledging limits of knowledge, understanding that even well-justified beliefs are contingent and subject to change. Openness to being wrong, being willing to revise or abandon beliefs when justified. Qualified claims, expressing uncertainty perhaps as far as I know when appropriate. Respect for other perspectives, recognizing that others' views may eliminate blind spots in one's understanding. Calibrated confidence in one's view, reducing the risk of acting on false certainties and promoting better critical thinking. More responsible, acknowledging uncertainty in everyday life fosters curiosity, empathy, and more productive dialogue by normalizing I don't know as a valid and honest place to start. Seek contrary evidence, actually look for what might disprove your beliefs, especially in complex or unfamiliar areas. Engage diverse perspectives. This is actually interesting. I find that actually debating and doing all of this stuff is a waste of time. I found that every time when I had an idea and I just went and did it, I was like, okay, now I exactly know what's the problem that needs to be fixed. Because what I just did, yes, that was a good experience. Like this has been happening with me, like with this podcast and doing all this stuff. Every time I do something like this, I'm like, every time I actually do the work, I learn. And it's actually so much better than having a team and everybody's like trying to be humble and humility, like showing epistemic humility. And what ends up happening is that you are talking too much. You are trying to talk about it and rationalize it rather than just doing it and learning from that. So it's very important to just decide, take action, and then go from there. Like even right now, what I sometimes think about is that, oh, if I'm live streaming, am I building something? What am I building right over here? So now we have this app going on. I'll publish this app on TestFlight soon. So that is something good. But yeah, it's incredibly important to just do it. Because sometimes what happens is that when you have an idea and you try to convince others about your idea and they don't agree, you dig your heels deeper into trying to explain them that, oh no, I'm right. And then you waste too much time in debating, and then you try to prove them wrong and you try to prove yourself right, and you get attached to your idea. But instead, if you actually just acted on your idea, and once it's done, you're like, oh, am I happy with it? No, I think I could have written better. Or I think this is not what I truly wanted. Then you think about something new. So I think doing it is actually a great way to just clear your mind, to let new ideas enter, to let new stuff enter. And that's exactly how someone becomes prolific. How does someone become prolific? They have an idea, they do it, they get it out, and then they're like, okay, my mind is ready for the next idea. And then, yeah, that's how you clear your mind up. If you just keep on talking about your idea, if you have epistemic humility, what ends up happening is that, and I don't know, this is the context over here is more about that AI should have epistemic humility, which is again interesting. This is again like the difference between democracy versus monarchy. Let's say in monarchy, if you have the benevolent dictator, I think benevolent dictator is the right word, that if you have a right dictator who has the right intention, then democracy is actually much slower, because in benevolence dictatorship, this person can actually go out and take action and do it fast and learn from that rather than waste a lot of time debating. This makes even seemingly harmful goals dangerous at scale. Classic example, a system tasked with maximizing happiness might wirehead humanity or eliminate dissent, not because it's evil, because it's efficient. Existential risk and moral weight of the future. This is where Bostrom becomes almost cosmic. He argues humanity may have millions or billions of years ahead. Trillions of potential future lives are at stake. Extinction or permanent stagnation is therefore the greatest moral catastrophe. It dominates ethical priority because it threatens the entire future light cone of humanity. Wow, that's why a once in civilization responsibility. Notably pessimistic about market incentives, nationwide coordination will regulate as we go approaches. Competitive pressures reward speed, not safety. Small alignment errors can be fatal. Power concentrates extremely fast. He does not think governance is useless, but he thinks it is insufficient without technical breakthroughs. His intellectual style important, unlike Yudkowsky, less apocalyptic rhetoric, more academic framing, heavy use of thought experiments, probability, and expected value. This made superintelligence influential among policymakers, economists, military planners, tech leaders. He gave the field legibility. In one line, Bostrom thesis: if we get superintelligence wrong once, we don't get to try again. Interesting. Okay. Raise massive funding. Okay, that's not that's not important. Okay. Leadership credibility. One of the most influential researchers, co-creator of key deep learning breakthroughs and co-founder and former chief scientist at OpenAI, credibility draws significant talent capital. Builds safe superintelligence that's considered long-term and deep research from a typical product startup sprint. Took direct control as CEO, signaling strong alignment with technical vision. No product, no near-term revenue. Immediate plan for conventional product. Investors are essentially funding vision and research on market traction yet. Achieving true superintelligence safely is an open scientific research problem, not just business execution. There's no guarantee the necessary breakthroughs are near. Even with top talent and money, many experts argue that progress requires fundamentally new learning paradigms. Talent competition, fragmentation is like competing with giants like already seen his early CEO depart and join a competitor. Community, yeah, that's not good. One of the people, your co-founder joining your biggest competitor, that's not good. Community skepticism, independent observers, known concerns as I has been very close with research which is unusual in the AI field, and that could slow broad progress and trust from the wider academic community. Balanced verdict: SSI is real and significant, but its success is not guaranteed. Huge funding valuation, strong runway over many years. Why it might not succeed as intended, yet no product or tested roadmap. Solving safe superintelligence is very hard scientific problem, not a typical startup achievement. Competitive pressure from big AI labs is intense. I think this is a mindset that I need to have that about Russ. So Russ, I was just listening to Russ, and Cole, who was on our podcast, he mentioned a couple of quotes from Russ, and that was very interesting. Like just quoting Russ, one of the singers, and Russ, he said something which is like, yeah, he went on this, I think he said for 90 weeks or something like that, for pretty much like 2 years, he went on this streak where he would release one song every week. So he would just like put his stuff out there and let people decide. And I thought that was very interesting. So this is what we need to do now. Like, we will just keep shipping tweets and we'll just keep putting it out there. We'll let people decide. I'm not gonna be deciding anymore. We'll let people decide. And before leaving, I just want to check what is the update from OpenAI, and also we need to get internet because it's slow. This is slow. Okay, no updates. Capability overhang means too many gaps today between models can do and what most people actually do with them. Progress towards AGI will depend as much on helping people use AI well in ways that directly benefit them as on the progress in frontier models themselves. Frontier research and about closing this deployment gap, especially in healthcare, business, and people's daily lives.